Welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast, the show that keeps you in the know with what you need to know in business and technology and for yourself so you can grow. Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Rob House, and my co-host, Wilton Rogers, got insight for miles. Miles and miles. We'll give you what you need to know. Get ready for the Business Empowerment Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Business Empowerment Podcast, the show that brings business, technology, leadership, and the thought leaders that are leading the way. We got a great guest, my co-host, Wilton Rogers. So much insight. This guy knows so much. He may have more insight on technology and certain aspects of it than anybody I've ever met. I never told you that. You just found out.
I didn't even know that. Well, all right, man. Yeah, we'll talk behind the scenes. I know you. It's going to cost me some money for you saying that, but it's all good.
Man, all you have to do is pay attention. That's it. To our guests, Melahni Ake. I tell you, it was a pleasure meeting you. About a year and a half ago, and I'm not sure how we crossed paths, but she invited me to be a guest on her podcast. And literally just was one of the best experiences. You and your husband, from the first conversation to the interview and to just everything you were doing afterwards. So this is going to be a really, really pleasurable experience for me. Let me read your bio so folks can get a little understanding about who you are. You can find her on LinkedIn, and this is where I found her bio. She says, I have discovered that my greatest strength is to add value to others by connecting people to their purpose through creating programs that inspire them to explore, develop, and share their passions. So important. I simply believe we all have the potential to help each other realize and live our dreams that inspire positive change in the world. Melahni, welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I am so excited. You of all people, right? Rob in the house, I'm like, wow, you are just uplifting. And I love following you because you give me that spirit every day to go, okay, what's Rob doing? Because I need a little bit of that energy. I need to get up and dance. I need some music.
It is so amazing. It's so funny because in your bio, you talk about, people inspiring others. Like that's part of our purpose, to inspire. Like you're inspiring me. Like I'm watching you and I'm watching what you're doing with your platform and how you even bring people together, annually to keep it going. Like you have so much. So why don't you kind of share like who you are and what you do and why you do what you do? It's like a sandwich, who you are, what you do, and then why you do what you do sandwich. Let's eat that.
All right. Who I am. So this really developed, I think when we go back, I became a part of a leadership coaching company, John Maxwell team, a few years ago, about 4 years ago now. And the reason that I did that was because I was in a corporate America job where I had a lot of high energy, high value, high responsibility. And the leadership team that I wanted to be respected by was always questioning me, saying, what value do you bring to the organization? Kind of like corporate bullying, if people have ever been in that situation.
Yes.
And it really started to make me think about what value do I bring? What is my future? And I'm getting ready to turn 50. And are they setting me up to eliminate me? So let me tell you something. I decided that it was time for me to invest in my own personal growth like never before. And I went back and joined the John Maxwell team that I had learned a little bit about and discovered that there were so many connections to my history with John Maxwell just because of the faith-based lineage. His father actually preached at my great-grandfather's tabernacle here in Indianapolis. Right. And my family was faith-based and my grandparents were song evangelists. And so they really guided me through my life to give me the faith that I have.
Yeah.
And how important that is. And so as people always challenge me through my life, I thought, but I know what I believe, right? I never changed that belief. So all through my life, the consistency brought so much clarity because I looked back and thought, I didn't get involved with people that influenced me in a bad way because I knew in my heart what I believed I was purpose driven for. Yes. And I knew it was bigger. I felt something. What am I supposed to do? But until I found the John Maxwell team, literally, this group of people that I said, I don't have to show up in corporate America and do a job description, right? And meet everybody's expectations.
Right.
This group of people met me where I was and said, we want to help develop you. That was it's so empowering. I can't
Yes.
even describe it until you go through
I
that
can imagine. I
transformation.
can imagine developing, meaning we're going to help you work on areas you don't know what you don't know.
You
Right?
don't know what you don't know. And then when you know it, then you're so like your heart is so full of joy. And you say, now I've got to go share this
Yes.
because I know it was an authentic place, right? It wasn't like, oh, I have an agenda. I need to go learn how to be a CPA. And then I'm going to go find a job in that, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just the whole transformation of what our life, I believe, is purpose driven, is God's already designed this for us. And we have to look for signals to step into that.
Mm.
And so that's all I'm doing. I'm living out that purpose.
Looking for those signs.
Yes. And clarity, right? So the consistency in my life that I've tried to design and develop, and it's taken a long time to kind of get this, but the consistency that you do, and that's not just showing up for a job, it's those personal values. When you get up in the morning, and we've heard this a lot, right? Do you make your bed?
Yeah.
Do you take a shower?
Yeah.
Do you brush your hair? What are those common things that you do consistently to add value to your life to make you feel like you've accomplished something? And it goes back to just the basic stuff, right? And COVID-19 is a great example. Are people still getting up and taking a shower every day, right? Are you still feeling like you have to show up for yourself, not for other people, but are you showing up for yourself?
It's interesting you bringing up COVID because one of the things we want to know from everyone is how the heck did they pivot, deal with? Because everyone got smacked by this.
Yep.
2020 was not the vision, okay, that we wanted. Hello. But we had to deal with it. So like, what did you do? And what were some of your main adjustments or pivots that you did to keep this thing moving?
So, I have to say, I haven't done a lot differently because what I had done previous to that is I started conditioning myself. And so what I mean by that is I went to a big company, a big medical company in 2013, and we were using Zoom technology to do international training. And so so Zoom wasn't anything new to me, right?
Right.
And then back in October of last year, 2019, I had started intentionally a morning Bible study. So every day in October, John Maxwell challenged people, just everybody in the public,
Love it.
Start to read Proverbs for 31 days. And
I did that before, by the way. I did that
Did
3
you?
times. Yeah, 3 times.
So it's amazing, right? Because if you never really, if you just study a verse or you say that's my favorite verse, but this was intentional. And I put it out to the universe and said, I'm going to start this. If you want to join me, come on, because I'm going to do it. So I had about 4 or 5 people join through the first month. And then what I discovered is we were thirsting for more. So we were thirsting for that consistency. So we did this. I had my event in February, my annual event. And then in 2 weeks after that, March, here we come, March, and COVID hits.
Marching down, all right.
And I had 6 months of consistently every single morning.
Pretty amazing.
Right. Connecting to people that also needed this. And so now what I found is we've got a minister from Ghana that's joining us. We have people from all over the world that hop on for that 30 minutes to say, that's the clarity, right? The consistency that brings clarity, because now you're reaching more people that really need that as well. They just need something to fill up their soul. And what I know, Rob, is if you don't fill your cup, you have nothing to give.
Yeah. You have nothing to give and you're dried up. And that's a terrible place to be because you have nothing for yourself or anyone else. And you better believe people are coming to get things from you and you don't have it. So that's Wilton, that's a bad place to be, and so it's almost like, one of the best ways when people feel as if they can't find their purpose, ask them if they have clarity. Most of the time they don't feel like they can be motivated or find their purpose because they don't know what it is. It's not clear enough. Melanie, what you said, one of the best things you did about COVID was you were already prepared because you were doing some things already consistently. And having that clarity and consistency actually prepares you to be, let's say, almost not as vulnerable when catastrophes happen. That's pretty amazing. What do you think, Wilton?
I think that's amazing. And going on top of that, I actually think what you said about there's going to be signs. When you see those signs, step through. I think when people see, they miss those signs. That they're not aware of those signs, and when they see it, they sort of question it, but they don't really, move forward from the questioning it. When you see
That's the
those signs,
fear,
that's
right?
it.
That's the fear that they go, oh, but I can't do that because that's a sign that I shouldn't do it. Instead
Right,
of like, no, 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 that's the magnet that's drawing you in. That's what you should be going towards. But
right.
if you're not conditioning, if you're not doing something consistent, right, whatever
That's
that is
it.
in your life, then you're not showing up for yourself.
That's right.
And so you need to start a routine of something, because if you journal, if you go read a book, if you do a Bible study, if you just get on the phone and communicate and connect to people every day,
Yes,
Yeah.
that brings clarity,
that
right?
is amazing. That's amazing. This
That's-
show is about business, technology, and leadership, and you're doing all three. And one of the questions is, how are you using technology to enhance your mission? Clearly, you're using technology to enhance your well-being by putting together Bible studies digitally. You are you have an you have a program online. You have a talk show that you're now streaming around the world. Is this happening right now? Have you jumped into that already? I
It
know we
is.
talked about it. It's happening.
It is. And
Wow.
and 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 so when I think about streaming and people talk about podcasting, and it's really, I went to school to learn journalism, and so developed the first radio show at our school and in high school, right? And so this goes way back, and I look at when I connect the dots, there are so many things that I'm doing today that I haven't changed. So that conditioning has made me be able to step into who I am.
Awesome.
Just saying, I don't really need to go and be told I have these values, or I'm going to get a 5-star review from somebody that doesn't even believe what I believe, right? Here's Simon Sinek. Connect to people that believe what you believe. And then your journey becomes the momentum train, right?
Ooh,
So,
Yes.
you
I'm
talking
telling
about all the people, John Maxwell, Simon Sinek. Come on, we can just keep naming them. We probably got a bunch of alignment on that.
Hey, when we designed the Airstream, so we bought an Airstream last year, and part of this is pulling this together into what our dream was, is to be able to have special events, special interviews, sponsored interviews in this Airstream mobile studio, so that we can broadcast around the world and we can travel and we can do the things that we see are valuable for community. And so I'm really excited because we're finishing that project. COVID kind of stopped us a little bit because there were just so many other things coming at us. I'm so excited though, because here it is, right? We've had this dream, we've kind of been pushing it out to the universe, and I'm going to say it right now. I want to have Simon Sinek in the Airstream. So that's my goal.
Your lips to God's ear.
Wow.
That's how it
That's
works.
it. That's it.
That's how it works.
That's where it starts.
And
Yep.
we're
Yeah.
aligned with you. And two or more are gathered, and three is not something that's easily broken. So we can speak this language all day.
That's right.
But you have to think about it, right? Without that consistency, I wouldn't have had the clarity to say I have the confidence to
That's right.
say I know how I'm going to get there. Now it's just, okay, that's just another piece of what I dream, and here's how I want to get there.
That's
And
good.
so, my goodness, it's so powerful when you get to that transformation in your life.
Yeah.
You feel it every single second, and your heart is exploding to try to help other people.
That's
Goodness.
it. Consistency allows for clarity,
It does.
for
It does.
sure.
It does.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons for that is because we already have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. So the only way to get clarity in a cluster like that is to be consistent with what you're doing, so that you can have awareness about what's going on. It's impossible to do it otherwise.
That's right.
We're just two complex creatures.
Mhm.
We got to simplify it, Melanie. You know how to do this.
I know.
We're going to close this first episode off. We're going to close it off with a question. And the question is, what is your best business tip? And all the years of being in business and the shows and the leaders, all these amazing leaders that you have interviewed and spent time with, John Maxwell being at the top, obviously, what would you say, in my opinion, what would you say would be the best piece of business advice you would give somebody, a business tip?
To be yourself, and do not compare yourself to anybody else, because you believe what you believe because of how you've been raised and your environment that you're in. And so don't try to look at everybody else and say, well, I need to be this way before I can start something. You need to just step into it and be consistent, and then you will grow into who you're going to become. Don't worry about, get rid of the noise and be who you are.
Get rid of the noise and be who you are.
Hey, do we have that sound effect where you just go hit it out of the park? That's it, man. Be yourself, man. We get lost. We get so lost in not being ourselves, and that's what stops us from being who we really need to be. So absolutely, that's awesome.
We see that shiny object, and you go, oh, they're doing this over here, but their purpose is different and they've lived a different journey. And so
Mm-hmm.
don't compare yourself to that, because you're just on a different path. Your path could look amazing if you just give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be who you are. You're amazing.
You are amazing.
Amen.
You
That's
are
awesome.
amazing. And we're gonna close out. We're gonna come back and make sure you join us, because on part 2 we're gonna open up with asking Melahni, what her worst and best business decisions were. Come check it out.
Free bots and free downloads. Just go to scalethroughautomation.com/free.
Welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast, the show that brings you technology, leadership, and business leaders who are leading the way. And this is part 2. My co-host, Wilton Rogers. Wilton Rogers is sitting over there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Melahni, where are you at right now?
I am in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis, Indiana, Crofton, Maryland, Albuquerque, New Mexico, but we are all connected in the same atmosphere. I'm loving it.
Great energy.
Good energy.
Found it.
That's it. And that's what it's all about. It's about finding those good vibes, connecting to them, and then building what you call the momentum train. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So we said we're going to come back, Wilton, and ask Melahni, what was her best and worst business decisions of her life?
Well, before that, I'm excited to hear this, because just hearing her story and what she's done, there's been a lot. And she's done a lot. That means she had to have gone through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
To share one, I'm excited to hear what each one of them is.
Yeah.
So it's all, yeah.
So you're up. We want to know what those top, Family Feud, number one answer is best and worst business decision.
Best business decision ever. And this was really hard. This took me 3 months to decide. I was in a corporate America job, a sales company, medical device company that I loved. Like, it was family. And I had been there for almost 10 years. And I was given an opportunity to go to this amazing, huger than life medical device company to do something completely different. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't leave my comfort zone, because I know what I know. I'm really good at what I do. I can grow with this company, right? I'm just not connected to the right people. But I left. After 10 years, I made a decision. I had a company car. I had a company credit card. I had a salary. I was in a great position. I could have retired there, had a fantastic life. But I said I needed more. So I popped over to this company, right? And I got to do amazing things. I didn't ever even understand what those experiences were going to be. I ended up traveling internationally, training international teams, having challenges that I knew that I could step into. But again, I had never given myself permission. So leaving that fear behind and stepping into what was next. Oh my goodness, what a lesson, right? Now here's the thing. After I had been super successful in this company, again, chasing the corporate, somebody's got to validate because I'm showing up. Don't you see it? Give me that 5-star review. Give me that raise. I deserve it. That company, right after I started my podcast in 2018, they came to me in April, 4 months into my podcast, into my dreams. Life was great. And they said, you don't have any value to us. And so we're eliminating your position. Now, that was a huge lesson, right? Because I had given up what I thought was my future, my career, to step into this and trade things off that I knew was comfortable. And I gave my all. I showed up 100% for this company. And so for them to put those beliefs on me, oh my gosh, what a traumatic day, right? For about a minute, because I had to fly home with these thoughts of how am I going to tell my husband? Like, oh my gosh, I've been eliminated. How did that happen? I was giving 100%. And so, but what I knew is I didn't fit. That was the lesson. I didn't fit where I was. I was growing way beyond that capacity. So had I, and I was there for 5 years. So now I go back to that comfort zone for 10 years and then saying I grew way beyond what I could have even seen. And I had joined the John Maxwell team in the process of this. So I was building the momentum for my consistency and my clarity. So as I pushed off from that career, so many things. I said, I know what my podcast looks like. I know what I want to create. I want to have live events. I'm going to continue to step into what I believe because I know that there are so many things bigger ready for me. I'm just not, I haven't prepared myself. I've held myself back trying to fit into everybody else's, business categories for me. Because we all have skills, right? And we need to pay the bills.
Right.
But the lesson, right? The business lesson was continue to stay into your strengths. Yeah. Do what you're strong in, because that will continue to help you either build a side business, build a side hustle, build your values, and then show up in the world with capacity.
That's it. Your purpose has purpose. Your purpose has purpose. And without it, like, it's almost the hardest target to hit is the one that's not there. So
okay, I got to tell you this quick story.
Yeah.
So when I was 7 years old, my father had passed away when I was 5. When I was 7, my mom saw this little flyer we used to get back in the day. I'm ancient. We used to get these little flyers every Friday and we'd bring them home and they would have the activities, right? The signups in the community. And so this one said, sign up for hockey. And only child, my mom's working at the hospital, single parent now, trying to survive. And so she says, well, I think that would be fun. Why don't we go over and look into that? And so that Saturday morning, we went and we signed up for ice hockey. Now, I was the only girl in an entire boys' league the entire time that I played.
Wow.
12 years.
12. Really?
Oh.
So talk about the what I learned about strategy. When you talk about business principles, right? It was what I believed about myself was, I don't care if I'm the only girl. I can go in the locker room. I can do this. I can learn this game. And they gave me grace to be able to support me. Right. Yeah. And so but I read all these articles about, sports and strategy and your mindset. And I really think that had a huge impact because of what I learned when I was a kid to try to bring those principles into what I do now. It's how are you going to look for where the puck is going to be, not where it is today.
That's Wayne Gretzky's number one. That's his number one thing right there.
Totally.
How are you doing it, Wayne? How are you so good?
Wow.
Here's my first jersey.
That's how you
so,
anyway.
So how were you when you first signed up that day and you saw all these boys saw a girl in line? How was that day compared to the last year of playing hockey?
Oh my gosh. It was awesome. Because I thought, wow, I know that I want to do something and learn something. And I think, when I take StrengthsFinder, if nobody's ever taken that, I don't know that I have that book, but if you've never taken StrengthsFinder, and it told me I've always been a learner and I've always stepped into saying, I can do that. I can learn that. And so I think you have to have a curiosity about yourself. You have to have an open mind. You have to have people that support you, right, to step into that. But what it was is, they would have let me quit anytime, my mom, but I said, I love this. I love what it did to my mindset and to make me stronger. And so, in every sport, I was a varsity letter and got a scholarship in volleyball for school that I didn't take because I just was going in a different direction. I was going into journalism stuff. Yeah. And so, but what I knew is, when I look back again, when you connect the dots, like Steve Jobs says, You don't understand your journey until you go back and connect those dots.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All of those things, right? Faith, my strategy, my belief, all of this builds into why I know that people also struggle with that until they get it, until the light turns on.
Yep. Yep. That's amazing. And so one of the questions is like what advice you would have for people just starting a business or new in business. And I like the way we're able to take things from all aspects of life to apply it to business. So that's what you've done. You kind of synthesize your entire life into a strategy that works. What would you tell someone who just started a business or thinking about starting? What's some things they need to be thinking about? Because you clearly have done this.
So first of all, it's always about other people. Right? It's not about what you want. And I told people this when we were training our sales teams all over the world. You think you know your product, right? Think about Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
You start something and you have a dream and you've spent oodles of money and you go and you're trying to present this to a group of people that you want to try to connect your purpose to. That's what your business is about. But what they do is they show up with all the details, right? Here's the speeds and feeds like copy sales people would talk about. Here's all the features and benefits. Tell me how you want me to be involved with you.
Yes.
How are you going to then add value to my life? How are you going to show up to support me? You can start a group, but are you showing up for others, right? Just like doing this, we support each other. We figure out what that inner circle really looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Before I joined the John Maxwell team, I believed that whatever company I interviewed with and, went through the cattle call and got the job, those were the people that were going to be my inner circle. That is not true. In business, when you're an entrepreneur, you develop your own inner circle. And it has to be intentional, right? The people that have been around you that are telling you business advice that are your friends and neighbors, those probably aren't the people that are going to help you be successful.
Yeah.
No fault of their own. It's just, you got to go to people that have been there and you've got to understand your design and your strategy is about adding value to people. That's number one. And number 5 and number 6 and number 7 and number 8.
Yeah. Wow, I love that.
Value add. Relationship capital. It's the most important, it's the most impactful. Our business today really is thriving because of honestly the relationships that have been made, built, and cultivated, mainly by this guy in the corner over here. There's this amazing cultivation of relationships. There's even people who aren't really that nice. He still somehow keeps good ties and relations with them. It's a really good quality, and you have that same quality. And I was going to ask you what you thought your number one skill was. Like, what would you qualify? What would you say your number one skill is? Would you kind of categorize?
I've heard this so much, and because I am this, I have a hard time believing it. But I'm very humble, and I really authentically meet people where they are. I don't have judges, biases. I want to connect to people's heart. Yes. And so for me, that's just, that's a big lesson that I try to portray to everybody. But it's so true because when you just show up, and you're going to gain so much if you just give yourself grace and say, whatever the comparisons, don't make a mistake. Don't worry about it. Show up to understand and learn. And then your heart's going to be so full of joy.
Oh my goodness. That's
well said.
That's right on point. That's basically convinces me that empathy is the new superpower. Like I believed this earlier, but I'm really, 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 it's starting to come true to being a fact because what you just said was empathy. I mean, the ability to be humble and to have love and to add value and to be unconditionally there. That's the empathy that we need. I'm so happy to hear that.
And when you can feel the empathy, it stops you to want to learn more about that person.
Yep.
There's so much out there, and when you can really genuinely feel it, that gives you the opportunity to really understand who they are and what they do.
Think how you feel, Wilton, when somebody says, "Tell me about yourself."
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of, "Oh, I've got this whole agenda, and you don't know what happened to me, and oh my gosh, today the kids did this, and blah 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 blah." You just tune everything out. Versus, how are you? Right? How are you doing? How's COVID treating you? What can I do to help you? Totally different conversation.
How you
Right?
at? Yeah, that's good. So Melanie, we're coming in for a land here. I want you to give us
Oh,
final words of empowerment. Final words of empowerment. You take us out. You know, you have so many guests. I know we asked you what your best business advice was. We asked you what your worst business decision was. But now just kind of, this is your show now. This is how you closing it out. Take us home and leave us with something that's gonna make us feel good. Maybe fly out of here, fly away from some of that stress that's trying to hold us down.
before you do that, this needs to be that bonus. You know, that little 3-4 minute bonus. At the end of the show, it's like, listen, I only get episode 1 or 2, but you get a bonus.
You're gonna talk for a whole episode.
All right. Ready?
So,
Yes.
so it's on you. You know, I really want you just to leave everyone with some final words, you know, of empowerment, because this is the Business Empowerment Podcast.
All right. So I believe that everyday leaders have the opportunity every day to design your life with strategies and develop strategies to understand how to overcome obstacles every single day. Those everyday actions will bring clarity and consistency that will fulfill your life. And I also believe that when you step through this journey as an everyday leader, that you will build the capacity in your life to be able to change the world.
Wow.
Melahni Ake, you have the capacity and the ability to change the world. And it sounds like it starts by believing in yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being on the show. My co-host, Wilton Rogers. Do you have anything to say, man? Do you want to say anything after this? Because I was going to drop my mic, but there may be too much feedback, you know, to do that.
You know, for me, you can't fit what she just told us all in 2 episodes, right? In a couple episodes. For me, it's like, you know, I'm not on, and Rob and I talked about this, I'm not on social media as much anymore. You know, I just don't have the time to. But when I get on there, I want to be connected to the people that I want to be able to. You're at that top of the list now. So I'm going to put that as a follow immediately, you know, that way when I get on there, I know your stuff's going to pop up on me, right?
Yeah.
So for me, how can people find that? Because you just dropped so many golden nuggets today. And whether people see this now or later down the line, you know, it's going to be valuable. So what are the other ways that we can follow you? What's the best way people can connect with you?
The best way is to go to my website, which is everydayleaders.com.
Wow, you got that?
Wow. Everydayleaders.com.
How happy were you when you went to look for that and it was there?
No, you don't even know the story.
Oh, you got to share it.
If you have 2 minutes, I'll tell you the story.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So when I started, you know, the John Maxwell team, I was like, oh, I need a company. Like I need a website. I need all this. So I said, I believe my journey is about making connections for life. My name is Melahni Ake. Make, right? Every email is make whatever. Mm-hmm. So I was like, make connections for life. That's who I am. And so I got this domain with GoDaddy and I was going along and I thought, here I come up with the idea for the podcast and everyday leaders. And so I'm like, you know, can I get this domain? Blah, 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 blah. No, this person in Australia has owned this since 2000. Now they've never done anything with it, but this is owned by, you know, this person. And I was like, well, I'm not even going to reach out because they'll tell me they'll sell it to me for $50,000. Right. So I just kind of let it be. So after the first year of the podcast, it's 2019 now, and we're hosting the first annual event on March the 2nd. And so March the 1st, I get an email from GoDaddy. Now, 24 hours before the event, this web domain is going up for auction. We just wanted to let you know. So at 4:00 in the afternoon, not even like just hours before the event, my first event, we got to bid on Everyday Leaders. And it went 3 rounds and we're in this auction like on eBay. And I'm just like, can this even be possible? Like, is this even happening? You know, who set this up? It was God that set this up.
Yeah, you better believe it.
So third round, we went $150 is what we paid for the domain.
Get out.
Wow.
But I knew, I was like, I had the
Wow.
vision. I knew Everyday Leaders is what I needed to build my brand, because that was the podcast. And that's what I believed. And so this whole, like what I just told you, Everyday Leaders can change the world. And so here we go. So I got to announce it at the event and say, okay, you guys, I'm opening this, but I have to tell you, I am so excited. And people were like,
off of an event. Wow.
what? How'd that happen? Right. So that hasn't even been a year and a half. I mean, I'm telling you, that was
Really?
March 2nd of 2019 that happened.
Wow. Wow.
That's the momentum, right? And when John Maxwell the very first day I was in his conference, and he said, when you decide to grow every day, you decide to grow 1% in 365 days, that compounding effect is 37% greater. And you will not even know who you are in 1 year.
Right.
And amen.
Wow.
Amen. So
Yeah.
That's
thanks
awesome.
for letting me share.
That is awesome. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Everydayleader.com.
How about that?
It is. It's, and I look at people have this podcast, The Everyday Leader, and this, and I'm like, no, everyday leaders. It's all of us. It's not just one thing. It's everybody doing everything they can to become a leader. So anyway,
thank you. Melahni, thank you for starting that Everyday Leaders. Thank you for being aware and assertive. And thank you for just answering the call. A lot of us hear the call, and life, keeps us from answering. And so people like you are helping us to take those earmuffs off.
That's it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time.
You guys are awesome.
It's been amazing.
You guys are awesome. I love you. Thank you very much. This has been fun. Let's do it again. Let's do a live on my platform. Yeah.
None.
Okay.
That's it.
Welcome to the Business Empowerment Podcast, the show that keeps you in the know with what you need to know in business and technology, and for yourself so you can grow. Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Rob House, and my co-host, Wilton Rogers, got insight for miles. Miles and miles. We'll give you what you need to know. Get ready for the Business Empowerment Podcast.